This is the Idiot Entrepreneur Podcast with
Johnny B.
and Kelley, where no one is smarter than you. We're all just a bunch of idiots figuring out business and life one day at a time.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show, to Idiot Entrepreneur.
Hello, idiots.
How's everybody doing?
Why do you always ask them that?
I don't know. I just like to check in on my audience.
Oh, that's thoughtful of you.
Yeah, it is. I'm a thoughtful person.
You are, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we're going to get right into it today, guys.
What are we talking about?
Great question. I'm glad you asked, Kelley. All right. So we're gonna talk about questioning the truth. I think this is a really great topic that I really like and I'm passionate about.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, me too. All right. So questioning the truth. Everybody thinks everybody's told a truth that they're expected to believe since a young age, and we're here to say that it's total bullshit. There's a lot of stuff we want to say about this, but I think everybody should question what is told to them as the truth. Because most people just blindly believe a lot of shit and they don't really think about it. They just follow it without really thinking twice.
And that's honestly the quickest path to a real crappy life.
Yeah.
Or maybe not crappy, but we'll say mediocre.
Yeah.
And unfulfilling.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you don't want to end up as one of those people, letting 20, 30 years go by only to realize you lived a pretty shitty life. So you gotta really understand what questioning the truth is and what the truth actually is. The world tells you what you're expected to believe from the time you're an infant all the way throughout your death. Basically, is that you should believe a certain idea or ideas or a certain path to follow and just follow it aimlessly. Just this is what you're supposed to do and you do it.
Yeah, I mean, this covers everything from religion to politics to, sort of the sequence of your life, the family structure, the, how to behave, what kind of job you should have. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it covers really every area of life. I mean, if you were to just be born and never really think for yourself in any way, shape, or form, you'd be fine because you could literally just follow this little map that, society or your parents or your grandparents or whomever has created for you, and you'd end up doing things. They wouldn't be things that you chose to do. They would just be things you were told you were supposed to do. And frankly, a lot of people live like that. More people live like that than not. And we're trying to snap you out of it because it's not the best way. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be able to think for yourself and not take everything as a truth or fact. One way you gotta really do this or think about it is always get into the habit of questioning things, whether it's ideas, rules, rituals, religion, your own beliefs, even your own beliefs. Like those are things you gotta question. You should get into that constant habit of questioning ideas that are presented to you throughout your life. That's incredibly important.
And you should be able to say why you believe something, right? So if, rather than just question it, let's say it's, your political preference. Let's say you're Republican because your dad was a Republican and his dad was a Republican. And maybe one day, you just follow it because you think that that's right. You've been told that forever. And then one day you kind of question it, why am I a Republican? And you look at it, and then you just kind of move on and continue being one. I think the important thing to really be able to answer is why. If somebody were to ask you, okay, you're a Republican, why do you believe this? Most people can't tell you because they don't actually know what it means to be a Republican, really. When it comes right down to it, they know very, very little about policy, very little about the history of politics and the country and all of these things. They just believe it because they do. Right?
Exactly.
You should be able to say why.
Yeah, you should always be able to say why. I mean, that's getting into the habit of questioning something, whether it's a belief, idea, anything. You should always question it. Things you should ask yourself is one thing you should always question: is there a catch? If someone presents an idea to you that says get rich quick, sign up for my program for $10,000 and you will get rich quick. You got to ask yourself, is there a catch?
Which there is, by the
there
way.
is. Yeah, there is.
Because you can't get rich quick.
Yeah, so I mean,
ever.
exactly. So you have to question, well, if this program is sold for $10,000, why isn't everybody rich? Right? That's a great question because it's bullshit. It doesn't exist. So yeah, always ask yourself whenever something's presented to you, is there a catch? Ask yourself, does this make sense? Right? That's actually a very simple question, but does it make sense? If someone's telling you should do this for the rest of your life, you should ask yourself, does it make sense? And also ask yourself, what's the motive? A lot of people have a motive behind something. What's the real reason someone's telling you something, whether what you should believe, what you should do with the rest of your life, or how you should even start your day. What's their motive behind it? Do they have any financial gain? Do they have any personal gain? Are they selfish? Are they trying to see you fail? You should ask those questions to yourself.
Or maybe they just think they know what's best for you, which
Yeah.
is also
that's a common case.
wrong motivation.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. That's actually a great point because a lot of times parents will want what's best for you, which is good. That's great. But also that doesn't mean that's what's right for you.
Well, they don't know what's best
Right.
for you is what's
Yeah.
the
The
truth.
truth. Yeah.
Only you know what's best for you. Parents can, kind of influence kids badly in that way sometimes because they try to steer them in a direction that they think is right. And of course it's motivated from a place of love and care, but it's usually very often not the right advice.
Yeah, because they're trying to. Great example. Growing up since a young kid, my parents always wanted me to become a doctor, and I followed that path, and only to realize after 8 years of school, I was miserable, and I absolutely hated it. Being in the healthcare field, and I think that that was my parents' advice, but also, that was coming out of a place because they want you to have a secure job, a secure future, and make good money. But if you're not happy doing it, you shouldn't do it.
And did you ever question, becoming a doctor, or did you just follow it?
Follow it blindly.
You did. Why did you do that?
That's a great question because I didn't question it.
No,
I
you
thought
know
it
why
was-
you did that.
Well,
It's because, sorry, go ahead.
that's what I thought was the answer.
Because your parents told you, right?
Yeah, because that's what I was told.
And I've done similar things. Not in that same way, but and if parents are listening, don't get offended.
Yeah.
If my parents are listening, or John's parents, no offense, please. But my parents told me lots of things, and for a long time, I just kind of, I was always pretty good for thinking for myself. But some things they told me I would definitely just kind of follow and listen, and that was my belief. And then one day, it was like, late teens, I really started thinking, and I was like, why do I believe what my parents tell me? My parents, as good of people as they are, they're literally just people, right?
Yeah.
What do they know better than myself, than somebody else? I think there's something to be said for experience.
Yeah.
And certainly with age, and my parents are very, very old. But with age, comes some experience, obviously, and wisdom. So it's not to say you shouldn't listen to people. You should always, listen to what people have to say and take it into consideration. But the point is just that. Take it into consideration and don't just follow it because, people that you respect, like your parents, said to do it. Because, quite honestly, they probably don't know the best thing for you.
Yeah, that's so true. Actually, if you look at like any Middle Eastern family, Asian family, and I would say even in Indian, 100%. Yeah, all those cultures, I guarantee you, all their parents tell you to do is your options are literally doctor, lawyer, or engineer. That's it. Those are your only three options that you have, and those are the only options that equal success. Which honestly is, it's kind of actually comical when you think about it. It's like you're telling me these only three professions are the only ones that are going to equal success in your life. No freaking way.
Well, and I think that's a little bit of an older school mentality.
It's old school mentality.
I think now, maybe I'm sure that advice is still being given, but maybe back, in the old days, being a doctor. And it's true. Back a long time ago, being a doctor had a lot more prestige.
Yeah.
You made a lot more money. But now that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And also it ties you to having a job, right? And I think as obviously the name of the podcast, Idiot Entrepreneur, we would suggest, not having a traditional job because
Yeah,
it
no way.
doesn't, that is definitely not going to lead you to happiness in most cases.
Yeah, I'm still paying off 8 years of academic debt. It's the size of a fucking mortgage. I mean, honestly, I'm not saying it was a bad thing because I learned a lot, but also it's a commitment for sure, and an expensive one too.
Definitely.
But anyway, one mentality I subscribe to, and I think Kelley does too, is a skeptic mentality. By definition, a skeptic is someone who questions or doubts other people's opinions. So one thing you have to get into the habit of is to question someone else's opinion. So if someone tells you, in my opinion, the only way to get rich is to invest in just just in the stock market, or my opinion is the only way to become really successful is to go to school for 10 years and get 5 PhDs and do it that way and work till you're 65 and then die.
Which, sorry, by the way, most people never preface it with, in my opinion. Most people will say, you have to invest in the stock market or you got to be this.
Exactly.
And that's how people give it to you.
That's actually true. Yeah, they'll say you have to do it this way.
Yeah, like it's the truth.
Yeah, like it's the truth, but you got to question the quote, the truth, because it's more of an opinion is what I'm trying to say. Actually, it is an opinion, but people will say it, as Kelley was saying, as the truth, and that's not the case.
I think that stuff tends to be, what people tend to tell you to do is based off of like one of three things. One would be what their parents said, right?
Yeah.
And they just kind of followed it for their whole lives. Two would be based on regret. Like, maybe they really regretted not being a doctor because they thought that was the way. And so they want you to be a doctor because they think, well, I regret not being that. And then three, I think, am I going to forget what I thought? Three, I'll come back to it. Go ahead. I thought of three good ones and then I lost the third as I was talking. But
way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that one whenever it pops into Kelley's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Probably never.
Probably.
What I was going back to is the skeptic mentality is always question what you're told. Be skeptical because I guarantee you most of the information that you're told is not truly factual. All of it's an opinion. The media is an opinion. Someone else's financial guidance or advice is an opinion. It's quoted as the truth, but it's 100% an opinion. Based on what Kelley was saying, their beliefs, regret, certain ideologies, social norms. Yeah,
that wasn't the third one, but it's another one.
It's never coming back.
Nope.
So the point is that they're with having a skeptic mentality is to question everything. Don't take everything as gospel or the Bible.
Literally, even down to customer service representatives.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
As funny of an example as that sounds like, they feed you the most lies of anyone ever. It's honestly unbelievable. How many times have we called customer service?
The same company, yeah.
Yeah, and they tell you something as if it's truth, and then you either follow it and find out it's not, or maybe you question it, so you call back and you ask somebody else, and that person gives you a totally different truth. So, literally, even as granular as dealing with customer service people, you have to question what people tell you, period. I don't care who it is. I'm not saying don't ever listen to someone, but take it with a grain of salt. Yeah. Okay, that's what you're telling me. Let me find out if this is really true.
Yeah, to add to that, a lot of times I've called customer service, asked something, and I'm like, something they just told me doesn't sit with me right. Like, what they said was pulled out of their ass. Literally. Well, hopefully not literally, but
yeah, literally. What?
Well, figuratively.
Yeah, I think you meant literally.
Yeah, I meant figuratively, not literally. And then I'll call back, and I'll get a completely different answer from another person. I'll call back a third time and get another completely different answer. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, because of this, we have both gotten into the habit of checking with multiple customer service people because guaranteed no one's telling you the correct thing.
Yeah, to solve a simple problem. It could, it's just crazy. So, so you got to really question everything in general. Be a skeptic. Have that skeptic mentality. Don't follow blindly. What I want to add to that too as well is you should also question what you believe in as well. Like if you right now you believe that your 9 to 5 job is perfect for you, you should question yourself and say, is it really perfect?
Well, I kind of said that earlier. You should
Yeah.
know why you believe
Yeah.
something, right? If that's what you believe, fine. But like, you should be able to answer why. Like, if I ask you, hey, John, why are you a Christian? You should
Yeah.
be able to give me some real stuff
Yeah.
from the Bible. You should be able to give
Yeah.
me some
Real-
historical facts. Like, you shouldn't just be able to tell me like, oh, well, a lot of people honestly don't know that much about their religion even,
Yeah.
which, whatever, I have my own opinions on that, but at the end of the day, you should have knowledge about what you believe in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I would never speak about something that I'm not knowledgeable on because I don't want to be an idiot. I mean, if I believe in something, I'm knowledgeable about it, and that's just,
Yeah.
you should be.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, that ties into being an idiot entrepreneur, is that you don't really know exactly what you're doing all the time, but the point here is to question everything. And also, having a hardcore belief that's either black or white, Republican, Democrat, Christian versus Muslim, whatever your religion is, or I mean, I don't really care. But whatever it is, you should have a reason for believing in it, other than being told that you should believe in it.
Right. And it's not just those. I mean, those are major
Yeah,
topics,
those are major ones,
political,
Religious.
religion, ideological, but I mean, this goes for everything. I think one great example of not following things blindly that I wanted to mention is listening to people who don't have experience in what they're telling you. Many, many people have financial advice.
Yeah.
However, many people have no money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, unless
Yeah.
you are rich and doing great and just
Yeah.
loaded with money, I don't want to hear your financial advice, right?
Yeah.
Because, well, you don't know what you're talking about, clearly, right?
Yeah, that's actually a really great point, because you should weigh people's advice differently. So if someone who has no money is telling you what to do financially, how do you weigh that? Do you say you shouldn't give
A
it any
heavy dose of skepticism.
Yeah,
right?
heavy dose of skepticism. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. I mean, and someone that tells you this is how you build $100 million company, but they've never done anything themselves. So, how much weight do you give that? Also, a heavy dose of skepticism. If a billionaire tells you you should probably invest here, here, and here, based on your current situation, I'm going to take that with a lot more weight than someone with no money.
Yeah, you should listen.
Yeah.
I mean, you should. It's definitely
Still question it, but also, you're going to take
Yeah,
that with a
no,
lot more weight.
absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah, the weighting, you should definitely weight different advice and things that people tell you based on, again, what, if someone tells me I should be a certain religion and I find out, well, the only reason they're that religion is because their parents told them to be, that's really not going to mean a lot to me, right? And it shouldn't. But just weighting the advice that you get.
Yeah, so understand that everything's sort of in what's the word? Relation, not relation.
What's that? Moderation?
Yes, moderation. Yeah, duh. Yeah, so everything. Take little bits and pieces from people and question those bits and pieces, because I can tell you, you're going to hear a lot of quote the truths, but it's not really the case.
If you are questioning, your beliefs and your sort of the way that you think should be constantly evolving. And it is for us, I know that, because we're constantly questioning like what we think, what we know, what we believe, and that really shapes it shapes everything, but it's constantly evolving because we're always questioning it. We're not just saying like, I believe this, because you change as a person. There's many things that I used to believe that I no longer believe, and I'm sure there's things I believe now that in some point of time from now I'm not going to believe it, and that's because people change. Your beliefs should be somewhat fluid, not necessarily with everything, but I think in general, just make a lifelong habit out of questioning everything.
Yeah, I mean, part of questioning, quote, the truth is the basic foundation for success and constant improvement. It's going to change your life for the better, and what you do, and who you are today is, if you're doing anything different at all or trying to progress your life, who you are today is not the same person you were 3 years ago, or at least shouldn't be. Who you're going to be in 5 years is probably going to be a lot different in how you think and how much you've learned and how much you've grown than you were 5 years ago. I can tell you that's a fact for myself. I'm a lot different than I was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even last year. I mean, I can say that for sure with 100% certainty that constant evolution for the better. But, next year you're going to be a better version of yourself, at least in theory, as long as you're putting in the time and work.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the truth really is that there is no truth.
Yeah.
Boom.
There you go. Yeah.
Pause for a dramatic effect.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but really, like, there is no truth, right? And so, everybody has their own version of the truth, and you should probably, take what all those little versions are that you hear, and then you piece together your own truth.
Yeah.
Don't just take something somebody says, okay, my mom said this, done, that's my belief, and I'm moving on. Like, don't ever do that. And not just parents, but there's plenty of people who will give you advice, teachers, friends, whoever. But yeah, just there is no truth. The only truth is your own.
Yeah. I mean, so what that boils down to, like Kelley was saying, form your own reality. Form your own truth. Form your own reality. Don't believe everything you're told. Question what you're told. Be a skeptic. Look at things and question them. Doubt them until you prove it for yourself.
And
That's
then
what
be able to say why
Yeah.
you believe in something if someone asks you,
Exactly.
or even if they don't. But you should know why.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really matters is what you believe yourself. It's not what your parents believe, or your brother, your sister, your friend, or your teacher. That doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
All right, so we're gonna get into. I'm gonna
the-
let you do it.
We're gonna do it at the same time.
Oh yeah.
1,
2,
2,
3.
3.
Idiot fact of the day.
Maybe next time we won't count.
Yeah, actually.
I'll do. Yeah, I could have done the fingers, instead of
counting
on the microphone.
All right, next time.
Okay, so yeah, John, what's our idiot fact of the day?
All right, so I found this fact about Richard Nixon, actually. So he was a president back in the 70s, I think.
Earlier you said the 20s.
For whatever reason, I thought he was a president in the 20s. I have no idea why.
No.
Yeah, that shows you how much I know about U.S. history.
Clearly. So I'm not going to take your advice if you give me any about
No,
U.S. history.
please don't. Well, at least about presidential years, what years the presidents were in. But he was, I think, in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so Richard Nixon, he once smuggled a suitcase full of weed through the airport for Louis Armstrong.
Whoa.
That's crazy shit. I mean,
Yeah.
the freaking president, he saw Louis Armstrong waiting in line at the airport. I'm not sure what they were doing there, but anyway, I mean, I know obviously he was flying somewhere, but I'm not sure why he saw him in line. And Louis Armstrong.
Why was the president at a public airport?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Actually, yeah, that's a great question.
Well, I guess back in the
I'm not sure.
1920s.
Yeah, 1920s. That was the only option.
What? That's weird. Sorry, I just thought of that. But anyways,
Yeah, actually,
sorry.
no, that's a good point. I have no idea.
Okay. See, question. I was a skeptic. Why was the president there?
Exactly. Yep. You doubted the fact, or
Yeah.
So.
Sorry,
where were
you
they?
said he saw him at the airport.
Yeah. So Richard Nixon saw Louis Armstrong at the airport. They struck up a conversation because obviously Nixon knows who Armstrong is, obviously, at the time, because he was very famous. And Armstrong is a big fan of weed. He smokes a lot of weed, even before performances, I read. And he does really well, apparently, while he's high. And people love him, so I guess it works.
I think he's dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Anyways.
All right, so so Nixon said, "What are you doing holding these bags?" And Armstrong was like, "I'm just waiting in line." And he's like, "Oh, you don't have to wait in line. You could go this other way for ambassadors. You could go through this line." And Armstrong was like, "Well, I'm just gonna hang tight here, but do you mind just taking my bags?" And Nixon was like, "Yeah, no problem. I'll grab them for you. I'll take them through the way he's going, which is express, of course. He's not gonna be waiting in line." And then he took it through the airport. Obviously, they're not checking the president's bag, so that's what Armstrong was thinking. And the story is Nixon had no clue that there was 3 pounds of marijuana in that bag.
Or did he, right?
Or did he? Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of people saying that he knew and wanted to get it through for him.
Which, who asks the president to take their bags? Like, he's a bag boy.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you're pretty cool if you can be like, here, hold my bag. And the
yeah.
president's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I'll take
I'll
your
do
bag.
it.
No, yeah, don't worry about it. I'll just take it through this line. You don't have to keep carrying it.
Louis Armstrong's like, no tip for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's idiot.
crazy.
It's pretty insane, actually.
Yeah, he sounds like an idiot, the president.
Yeah, he sounds like a
Right?
freaking idiot. So we all do stupid shit. But yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, John, do you have anything else to say about the truth?
The truth, I say, screw the truth, make your own truth. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well said.
Thank you. Until next time, guys.
Again.
Oh,
All
actually,
right.
you know what?
So
Yeah.
if you like this podcast, you should go ahead and rate and review us
On iTunes.
on iTunes and or share it with a friend, please. We would really appreciate it. That's how we gain more, sort of support for the movement, and that's
Yeah.
how we can continue to provide this fire content. And we'd appreciate it. So
Yeah, it really helps us out, actually.
Yeah.
Spread the word. Tell other people.
apparently you don't care if anybody does.
I've only mentioned it every other episode.
Yeah, well, you stopped recently. So
Yeah, I don't know why.
Thank God for me.
Yeah, thank God you saved the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys got any kind of value or think this is really worth listening to, send it to someone who could benefit from it, and because that really helps the podcast out.
And that's what we do, honestly.
Yeah.
We listen to podcasts constantly,
Yeah.
books, all of that stuff, and we share it, right? We tell people, hey, John and I especially always telling each other, like, listen to this, and, you can help somebody else, and, we can all benefit from sharing knowledge.
I mean, that's how anybody learns about anything about anything, is just, you learn something, you tell your buddy Joe, hey, I learned some shit from this, listen to this, so, that's how everybody learns, is through experience, failure, and reading books and listening to podcasts.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dumb people out there, so let's try to make them smarter.
Yeah, you can always try.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Awesome.
well, appreciate you listening, and until next time, this is the Idiot Entrepreneur.
All right. Awesome, guys. I'll catch you on the flip side.
All right, peace.
See ya.